Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories. My name is Matt. I know this podcast is quite new, but some of you have been following along for a while now. As you may have noticed, the narrator has changed a couple of times already in just a few months. The truth is, the podcast has been growing extremely slow, and basically nobody has left us any reviews so far. I'm here as the new voice of the podcast and would love to stick around, but I need your support to do so. Please, if you enjoy our content, it would mean so much to us if you could just leave us a review on whichever podcast platform you use. Now, take a deep breath and let's begin tonight's story.
Good evening and welcome to Deep Sleep Stories. Tonight you've chosen to settle in, allowing the weight of your day to melt away as you prepare to rest. You can feel the tension in your body gradually releasing, breath by breath, as you find a comforting rhythm of inhalation and exhalation. In your mind's eye, you sense a gentle transition from busy thoughts to a soothing calm, as though a soft ocean tide is gently washing your cares out to sea. In the moments ahead, you'll be guided through a tranquil journey into the hushed tide pools of Key West, where pastel sunsets and gentle waves invite you to find peace and stillness within. Before you begin this voyage, take a moment to release any lingering concerns or burdens. Let your eyelids grow heavier as your breath becomes slower and deeper, cradling your body in a lull of gentle tranquility. With each exhalation, picture all tensions dissolving into the softness of twilight. You are safe here, surrounded by warmth and comfort. Slowly, your awareness begins to drift toward visions of sun-kissed shores and shining coral sands. There is a gentle invitation in the air, beckoning you to wander along a quiet Key West beach, where the evening sky is painted in pastel hues, and the hush of the ocean soothes every passing thought. Allow yourself this time, this sacred pause, to become fully enveloped in serenity. Let the soft lull of your breath accompany you into a realm of deep rest, where each slow heartbeat carries you further from the demands of the day. Soon the story will begin, and you won't need to do anything but listen as calm words drift around you like a gentle breeze over tropical waters. There is no rush, no pressing matter to attend to. Here, in the embrace of this moment, you can surrender to the quiet harmony of your inner world. And now, as your mind continues to soften, prepare to float into a tranquil tale of pastel skies and hushed tide pools, letting every soft wave usher you deeper into restful peace. A gentle warmth spread across the late afternoon sky above Key West as the sun drifted low on the horizon. Subtle ribbons of peach and rose shimmered in the canopy of clouds, gradually blending into softer shades of lavender and gold. Along the shoreline, the day's last rays offered a comforting glow that seemed to illuminate every grain of sand. The tide was calm and measured, neither rushing in nor receding too quickly, as if it shared the same peaceful hush that enveloped the entire scene. Small waves carried the echo of distant winds, gently rolling toward the beach with a tender hiss. Against that gentle lullaby, tiny sea creatures in shallow pools quietly revealed their graceful patterns, their delicate motions barely disturbing the glassy surface of the water. Further up the sand, tall palm trees stood silent, their fronds swaying in a faint breeze that carried the scent of salt and coconut. A pelican glided overhead, a shadow passing effortlessly through the pastel twilight before landing with a silent splash in a tide pool nestled between coral rocks. The pool, warmed by the day's sun, shimmered with a reflection of pink-hued clouds and the pelican's calm silhouette. In these waters, small fish and curious hermit crabs scuttled about, investigating the visitor who had briefly joined their world. It was a moment of quiet harmony as land, sky, and sea gently coexisted, each one content to move at nature's own unhurried pace. Near another cluster of rocks, a soft patch of sand gave way to a shallow lagoon where the tide had formed a calm pool of its own. Inside, colorful shells dotted the powdery floor, their shapes telling stories of life carried along the currents. A gentle hush lay over this tranquil corner, as though the entire seashore had paused to admire the fading light. Delicate ripples moved over the glassy surface, catching a hint of the brilliant oranges and purples overhead. Though the sun had yet to sink completely below the horizon, the subtle shift toward evening was already palpable. It was a time when the beauty of day gave itself freely to the quieter wonders of dusk, each element weaving a seamless tapestry of calm. Over the soft ridges of sand, a woman walked quietly, cradling a small sketchbook against her side. With each step, she observed the shifting hues of the sky, the gentle changes in the tide pools, and the soft hush of the world around her. She paused beside a long, narrow pool, crouching to watch tiny silver fish dart among the shadows of seaweed. For a moment, she simply studied the quiet marvels at her feet, feeling a sense of deep reverence for the patient rhythms of nature. She turned the pages of her sketchbook carefully, capturing the fleeting pastels in soft pencil strokes. It felt like painting with air, as though each shade in the sky above was but a whispered secret waiting to be preserved. Farther down the beach, a solitary heron stood poised among tall grasses, its slender form reflecting the last traces of daylight. The heron's feathers appeared almost translucent under the pastel canopy, revealing subtle blues and grays as it blended into the surrounding beauty. With unwavering focus, it surveyed the shallows for small fish or crustaceans, waiting for the precise moment to strike. Yet there was no rush. The heron existed in a realm of unhurried grace, as though time itself had grown soft and pliable in the hush of evening. Each breath of wind, each tiny wave that lapped against the shore, carried a gentle invitation to slow down and surrender to the abiding peace of this coastal haven. A quiet melody of nature's sounds accompanied the waning sun, the soft rustle of palm fronds, the gentle whoosh of distant waves, the occasional chirp from a hidden shorebird. Far off, an old fisherman leaned on a weathered piece of driftwood, gazing out where the water met the sky. His thoughts seemed lost in the merging colors of dusk, that sweet hour when daylight gently relinquishes its hold to the coming night. Sea foam traced delicate lines on the wet sand, and the tide pools shimmered beneath the golden glow. Overhead, a faint crescent moon began to show, as if waiting patiently for its turn to illuminate the nocturnal tapestry that would soon unfold. As evening gently unfurled, the water grew more placid, revealing the mirrored reflections of the sky in each shallow pool. Coral fragments glistened just below the surface, tiny shards of color shaped by the ocean's ancient touch. Long strands of seaweed floated like ribbons, dancing in and out of the rippling light. Small creatures emerged for their twilight routines. Timid crabs scurried from one hiding spot to another. Starfish clung to submerged stones, and shrimp flickered in the shallow water, almost invisible in the shifting pastels. It was the hour when the boundaries between day and night softly blurred, giving way to a dreamlike sense of stillness that soothed every living thing. The woman with the sketchbook eventually found a small cove where rocks had formed a natural barrier against the gentle waves. This created a nearly silent pool, sheltered from the push and pull of the open sea. The surface was still enough to reflect the pastel sky with almost perfect clarity. She knelt down, pressing her fingertips to the water's surface, as if testing the temperature of a hidden world. Tiny ripples blossomed outward, distorting the reflected clouds into swirling shapes of lavender and coral. She breathed in the warm, slightly salty air, letting the comforting embrace of twilight settle over her like a soft blanket. In the distance, the last echo of gulls drifted away, and a subtle hush filled every corner of the beach. With her pencil lightly scraping the page, she documented the interplay of color and light in the sky's reflection. She would pause every so often, glancing up at the gently shifting clouds, then back down at her drawing, allowing each stroke to capture the essence of calm. As night slowly approached, the hush grew deeper, like an invitation to slip into a slower pace of being. A few yards away, an older couple strolled arm in arm, their conversation hushed, their footsteps barely audible on the sand. The man pointed toward the horizon, where streaks of pink began to melt into the deeper blues of the evening sky. They stopped to admire the tide pool at their feet, marveling at the delicate microcosm shimmering below. This gentle hour, the horizon itself appeared to vibrate with color. One moment, it was a faint shade of lilac. The next, a deeper violet. The water near the shore seemed to adopt the evening's pastel palette, softly reflecting the quiet drama unfolding overhead. And within the shallow pools, little echoes of that sky rippled and danced at the slightest motion. It was as if the entire scene existed in a perfect balance between the vibrancy of day and the approaching tranquility of night. Nothing felt rushed or uneasy. Even the wind, which had rustled leaves throughout the afternoon, now calmed into a tender breeze, whispering only the gentlest lullabies across the beach. Close to the rocks, small conch shells lay half buried in the sand, shaped by time and tides into artful spirals. Each shell seemed like a miniature sculpture, revealing the ocean's subtle artistry. Occasionally, a tiny crab would venture out from beneath a shell's curved rim, peering about before retreating inside once more. Above, a solitary star twinkled, heralding the night to come. Its subtle glow reflected on the pool's surface, a distant sparkle that reminded onlookers of the limitless sky beyond. In that reflective light, the gentle interplay of the natural world continued. The pastel tapestry overhead was gradually giving way to a deepening blue. Yet the warmth of the day still lingered in the sand, comforting bare feet with soothing residual heat. As the evening matured, the gentle hush along the shoreline grew more pronounced, and the beach was transformed into a realm of quiet wonder. The fisherman, perched on his piece of driftwood, let out a content sigh, gathering his gear with slow, deliberate movements. He waded through the shallow edge of the water, feeling the cool embrace of the sea against his ankles. Then, with a final glance at the pastel horizon, he disappeared along a narrow trail lined with sea oats and tall grasses. The couple also began to meander back the way they came, their hands clasped together, silhouettes fading into the deepening dusk. All the while, the hush of the tide pools remained, preserving their secrets in the soft afterglow of fading daylight. In one of the stiller pools, silvery minnows darted beneath a fragile carpet of algae. Their quick movements created tiny ripples that fanned out like a living mosaic. As each ripple reached the pool's edge, it softly lapped against the sand with a barely audible sigh. Algae in subdued shades of green and brown draped over submerged stones, swaying gently like a watery curtain that provided shelter for minuscule creatures. Occasionally, the faint sparkle of bioluminescent plankton caught the eye, hinting at unseen mysteries in the deeper waters. Beneath the surface, life continued its slow, wondrous dance, attuned to rhythms much older than the fleeting moments of a single day. The woman with the sketchbook lingered in quiet fascination at the water's edge, transfixed by the subtle interplay of light and life. She noticed how even the most delicate disturbances sent graceful rings, expanding outward, returning a gentle echo of movement back toward stillness. Each moment seemed precious, entirely unrepeatable, as the pastel sky transitioned into a deeper, velvety purple. The last sliver of the sun dipped beneath the ocean, and a gentle hush settled across the coastline like a soft exhalation. The hush felt almost sacred, as though the beach itself held its breath in anticipation of the night's quiet majesty. She let her pencil rest, gazing out into the calming expanse, allowing her senses to absorb every detail of the passing twilight. With nightfall drawing closer, The sky unveiled a scattering of early stars, their faint glimmers reflecting in the darkening pools below. In that dim light, the water took on a gentle glisten, an understated glow that magnified the hush of the surroundings. A soothing whisper of waves continued in the distance, each gentle crest melding into the next. Now and again, a gust of wind sent a quiet ripple across the sand, picking up a few grains that shone in the starlight before settling back down. The entire scene felt suspended in a tranquil equilibrium. The hush of the tide pools had become a soft lullaby, reassuring and all-encompassing, lulling every nearby creature into a deep sense of contentment and ease. An old sea turtle made its way up the beach, leaving a delicate trail in the sand behind it. Moving slowly, it navigated toward the water's edge, seemingly drawn by the moon's shy glow. In the shallow darkness, it paused near a tide pool, dipping its head as if to taste the air. Around the turtle, the world felt motionless, except for the faint motion of starlight dancing on the rippling surface, though the day had been warm and bright. The nighttime brought its own gentle ambiance, bathing the beach in a calm aura of mystery and reverence. The turtle continued on, unhurried and purposeful, disappearing into the shadows with a final whisper of sand sliding beneath its shell. An almost imperceptible hush now rested on the sea. The pastel colors had fully dissolved into the deep, rich tones of twilight, leaving only a soft memory of their fleeting existence. Overhead, a crescent moon hung low, its pale light illuminating the shore in gentle silver. The tide, having reached its evening stillness, seemed to cradle the tide pools with tender care. Small creatures, reassured by the darkness, ventured out from under rocks and shells, exploring the shallow waters for food. Occasionally, a wave would roll in with a subdued murmur, only to retreat with the hush of a lullaby. Beneath that hush lay an indescribable sense of peace, as if the entire beach sighed in contentment, embraced by the soothing arms of the night. Still by the tide pool, the woman sat on a smooth rock, looking out over the darkening horizon. The seascape had become a tapestry of subtle sounds and faint lights, each moment unfolding like a gentle caress. Though her sketchbook remained open, she no longer felt the need to capture anything on its pages. Instead, she allowed the fullness of the moment to wash over her, a welcome invitation to simply be present. She could sense the expanse of the sea and sky merging, the line between them lost in the hush of night. A single breath in, a single breath out. Time seemed to slow to the steady beat of her heart, as if it were in harmony with the hush that surrounded her. Not far from where she rested, a hidden cove sheltered another pool, where the calm water reflected starlight in a mosaic of shimmering patterns. The rocks around it glowed faintly, made smooth by countless tides. In that protected basin, nature's artistry was on display in silent splendor. Delicate anemones, unfurled ghostly tendrils, and tiny clams opened just a crack, filtering the water in search of nourishment. Small flickers of phosphorescence lit up in a ghostly dance whenever a gentle wave disturbed the pool's surface. It was a realm of quiet magic, visible only to those who wandered the shoreline in the evening's lull. In the stillness of that moment, the hush was both sound and presence, a serene invitation to drift deeper into the night's embrace. A light breeze carried the faintest scent of jasmine from a nearby garden, mingling with the tang of salt air. The synergy of these aromas created an almost hypnotic effect, reminding any passerby of the gentle wonders hidden within the Key West night. Palms, now dark silhouettes against a star-splashed sky, rustled softly. The ocean itself seemed half asleep, rocking each wave to a gentle hush. As the woman quietly observed, she felt an inner stillness settle in her heart. It was as though the tide pools were not just reflecting the night sky, but also reflecting the peaceful depths within herself. A reminder that deep calm can be found in the simplest moments, when one is patient enough to listen to the whisper of water and wind. Time continued to drift unnoticed, carried along by the hush of the tide. The moon rose a little higher, its glowing curve a silent companion to all that unfolded below. Occasionally, the woman could hear the distant laughter of people gathered at a nearby dock, or the soft hum of a boat engine far out at sea. Yet these distant sounds blended seamlessly into the nighttime lullaby, never once breaking the delicate calm of the hidden tide pools. From her place on the rock, she felt as though she were part of the beach's quiet chorus, a heartbeat in tune with the gentle push and pull of the nocturnal sea. And through it all, the hush remained, a timeless guardian of serenity. Gradually, the world of the tide pools became a realm of introspection and reverie, where the boundary between outer and inner landscapes seemed to dissolve. The pastel skies had long faded, but their memory lingered in the hush, a soft echo of earlier radiance. The still waters mirrored the stars so perfectly that it was easy to imagine one could slip through the surface and enter a vast cosmic ocean. Now and again, a faint stirring of life revealed the presence of a nocturnal creature, a crab skittering over a rock, or a tiny fish slicing through the darkness. Each subtle motion, each quiet ripple spoke of a grand orchestration, too gentle for the hectic hours of day, made visible only under the gentle watch of the moon. In this soft, timeless expanse, the hush held a promise of rest and renewal. The woman slowly closed her sketchbook, pressing one palm against its cover as if to seal in all she'd witnessed. She rose from her seat, allowing the gentle sands to slip between her toes as she made her way along the water's edge. Each step felt unhurried, carried by a current of tranquility that guided her onward. She could sense the subtle pulse of the ocean in her heartbeat, an unspoken connection that transcended thoughts and words. And as she walked, she felt the hush of Key West's tide pools in her very soul, a serene lullaby that promised peaceful dreams and deep restorative slumber. Now, as you drift away from these shorelines, allow the gentle hush of Key West to linger in your thoughts. You have walked along the serene tide pools, felt the warmth of the sun fade into pastel twilight, and watched the quiet dance of moonlight on still waters. In the calm that remains, notice your own soft breathing, the steady rhythm that echoes the gentle push and pull of the ocean's tide. With every slow inhale, you can imagine drawing in the soothing scent of the shore, and with each exhale, you let go of any lingering tension. This is your time for deep rest, a moment of profound peace. Let your mind settle like grains of sand on a tranquil beach, resting effortlessly in the embrace of the night. If thoughts arise, observe them gently and then allow them to drift away, carried by the soothing current of your breath. Feel your body grow heavier, melting into the surface beneath you, as though lulled by the softest of waves. There is nothing you need to do now but float in the comforting darkness, secure and serene. In this safe haven of thought and sensation, your heartbeat slows, matching the calm pace of an ocean at peace. Here, in the delicate hush of evening, you can surrender entirely to the serenity you've discovered. Let the memory of pastel skies and hushed tide pools guide you into slumber. You are free to dream of gentle shores and silver-lit waters, a place where every ripple of the sea is a promise of renewal, and every breath is a whisper of serenity. As you feel yourself drifting further into rest, know that the same quiet harmony that enveloped the shores can dwell within you, a continuous lullaby that resonates in your heart. In this hush, you are safe, comforted, and at peace. Good night, dear traveler. May your dreams be calm as a still lagoon, and may you awaken refreshed, carried forward by the gentle tide of a brand new day.